Hey guys, let me ask you something real quick. When was the last time you checked your pocket change? Because you just might be walking around with a little piece of history, worth $1 million. Yeah, you heard me right. $1 million. Not from a rare gold coin, not from a secret safe buried in the backyard, but from a plain old Washington quarter. Specifically, the 1989 Washington quarter. Now before you go tearing through your junk drawer or flipping over couch cushions, stick around. We're diving deep into the story, the value, the minting mistakes, and why this quarter has collectors lining up with 6-0 checks, and hey, if you're like me, somewhere between 30 and 70, with a good eye and a little patience, you might just strike gold without ever lifting a shovel. So grab a cup of coffee, lean back, and let's get into the $1 million mystery of the 1989 Washington quarter. You know, when I was a kid growing up in the 70s, quarters were for pinball machines and gas station sodas. You get a whole candy bar with one. And back then, nobody thought twice about the year on the coin. It was just money. Nothing fancy. You'd use it, lose it, and never think about it again. Fast forward to today, and I'm talking to a buddy of mine, big coin collector, has a whole safe in his garage filled with shiny slabs, and he says, "You ever look at your quarters from the 80s? I go, "Why would I do that?" And he tells me about this 1989 quarter going for $1 million. So naturally, I go home, dig through the coin jar, and start looking. My wife thought I lost my mind. I'm hunched over the kitchen table with a magnifying glass like I'm solving a mystery on CSI, and let me tell you something, once you know what to look for, you start seeing coins in a whole new light. Let's rewind to 1989. The U.S. Mint in Denver, hence the D Mint mark, produced millions of Washington quarters that year. Most of them totally normal. You could probably still find a few in circulation today. A small handful of those coins had a few problems. Minting errors, die breaks, off-center strikes, double dies. Things that most people missed, but collectors go absolutely nuts over. There's one in particular, a 1989 quarter with a dramatic double die on the obverse, and a nearly perfect off-center strike, that crossed the auction block recently and fetched a jaw-dropping $1 million, not because of its age. Not because it's made of gold. But because it's rare. Like, 1 in a billion rare. Now, if you're wondering what makes a 1989 quarter worth $1 million instead of 25 cents, here's what you need to look for. First, the mint mark. You want that little D on the front, right next to Washington's ponytail. Next, look at the date and lettering. Some of the $1 million variants show a double die. That means the letters, especially Liberty and In God We Trust, look slightly shadowed or doubled up. Like they were stamped twice, just a hair apart. Then there's the off-center strike. A good off-center error might show 10 to 20% of the coin's blank surface, with part of Washington's head cut off. Sounds weird, but collectors love that kind of thing. Lastly, check for any cracks, bumps, or strange lines. These are known as die breaks or cuds. They're like birthmarks on a coin, and when they happen on a rare date like 1989 boom, jackpot. A normal 1989 Washington quarter in decent condition, worth about 25 cents to $1, maybe a few bucks if it's mint state. A certified, graded MS-67 version with no errors, you might get a few $100. Especially with that rare combo of double die and off-center strike. That's where the magic happens. In 2024, one such coin sold for a whopping $1 million at private auction. Why? It was graded MS-68, had a major double die obverse, and a 15% off-center strike. Slabbed, certified, and in pristine shape, collectors and investors alike jumped on it like a Black Friday deal. Here's the thing. Coins like this aren't just metal, they're history. A 1989 error coin tells a story of how even machines make mistakes. And when they do, those little mistakes become $1 million treasures. Collectors care because of rarity. Investors care because of long-term value. And guys like us? We care because one lucky find could change your whole week, or your whole life. Coin collecting is just fun. It's like treasure hunting without the danger of pirates or digging holes in the yard. Go through your loose change. Look at the quarters. Every single one. Flip them over. Look for that D mint mark from 1989. Use a magnifying glass. Look closely at the date, the lettering, and any signs of doubling or off-center strikes. Don't clean it, ever. Cleaning a coin kills the value. Just put it in a soft coin flip and take it to a coin shop or send it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. And step 4. Be patient. You may look through hundreds or thousands of coins before you find something good. But trust me, it's worth it. After I heard about that $1 million 1989 D quarter, I started checking my coins every night. I even got my kids and grandkids involved. It became a little family game. Who can find the oldest or weirdest coin in the jar? One night, my grandson holds up a crusty old quarter and says, "Is this one worth $1 million, Grandpa?" I look at it, and it's a Canadian quarter from 1993. Not even close, but we laughed our heads off. That's the magic of this hobby. It brings people together, gets you looking at the little things, and every now and then, just maybe, you strike it rich. So here's my challenge to you. Tonight, dig out that coin jar. Go through the change in your car, your wallet, your sock drawer. You never know what's hiding in plain sight, and hey, if you do find a 1989 D quarter that looks just a little off, get it checked out. You could be holding on to a 1 in a million piece of American history. Don't forget to hit that like button if you learned something today. Share this with a buddy who always picks up pennies off the ground. And if you've ever found a rare coin, I want to hear your story in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and remember, your next quarter might just be worth more than your car. Keep hunting, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hey there, coin hunters and treasure seekers. Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at a quarter and thought, this thing right here might be worth more than my car? Well, grab your coin jars and fire up the flashlight, because today we're talking about a 1983 P Washington quarter that could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.1 million. Yes, you heard that right. $1.1 million for a quarter you might have spent on a soda back in the day. Now before you run off to the couch cushions or raid the change drawer, stick with me, because I'm going to break down exactly what makes this coin so rare, why collectors are shelling out the big bucks, and how you could be sitting on a tiny goldmine without even knowing it. And to make it even better, I'll tell you a little story about how I almost spent a valuable coin on a cup of gas station coffee. Yeah, that one still stings. So picture this. I'm on a road trip a few years back. Middle of nowhere, running low on gas and energy, I stop at this tiny roadside convenience store. You know the kind, flies buzzing near the hot dogs, a faded Pepsi machine out front. I pull out some change to grab a coffee. Guy behind the counter gives me a weird look as I hand him the quarters. Says, "You sure about this one?" I shrug, take my coffee, and keep moving. Fast forward a year, I'm looking through old coin values, and I see it, a 1983 P Washington quarter worth 6 figures. That's when it hit me. That's the one I gave to the guy for a lukewarm cup of drip coffee. I'm telling you, I still think about that cup like it was brewed with liquid gold. First, let's talk about the basics. The P stands for the Philadelphia Mint, and in 1983, they cranked out hundreds of millions of quarters. So the coin itself isn't rare because of low mintage. 1983 was smack in the middle of a big change in the US mints process. There were no official mint sets released to the public that year. That means collectors didn't get those pristine, untouched coins directly from the mint like usual. Most 1983 P quarters went straight into circulation, and got banged up, scratched, worn down. So finding one today in mint condition? That's like finding a vintage Corvette that's never seen a pothole. We're talking sharp details, no scratches, bright surfaces. Coin nerds call this MS 68 or higher. That's mint state 68 on the grading scale. The higher the grade, the bigger the payday. You want to see all the details in George Washington's hair, his cheek, the eagle's feathers on the reverse. No mushy or weak spots. Since there were no official sets, finding one untouched is like spotting Bigfoot. That's why collectors pay big bucks. They're buying rarity in condition, not just age, die errors or varieties. Some 1983 P quarters have minor errors, off-center strikes, double dies, or die cracks. These can boost value even higher if the condition is right. In early 2025, a near-perfect MS-68 example of a 1983 P Washington quarter sold for a record-breaking $1.1 million at auction. That's right, a tiny piece of change turned into a millionaire maker. Why so high? Because collectors fight tooth and nail for rare modern coins in high grades. The competition drives up the price, especially when it's a coin most people overlook. It's not even silver. It's clad copper nickel. Just like the one in your pocket. Let's look at a few more real-world examples. A 1983 P quarter graded MS-67 recently sold for around $10,000. MS-66 examples have gone for $1,200 to $2,000. Even a clean MS-65 might net you a few $100, not quite $1 million, but definitely not bad for a 25-cent investment. But remember, condition is everything. You can't bring a beat-up quarter from the glove box and expect six figures. That baby's gotta shine. Okay, so now you're probably itching to check every quarter you've got. Use a desk lamp or natural light. You want to see the details clearly. A cheap $10 loop can help you catch small errors or grading clues. Look at both sides. Check for strike quality, luster, and surface damage. Use auction sites like Heritage or PCGS to see what high-grade examples look like. If you think you found a gem, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. That's the only way to get top dollar. Look, a lot of us grew up thinking only old coins were valuable. But the truth is, modern coins, even ones from the 80s and 90s, are hitting insane prices when they're in pristine condition. And let's be honest. Most guys from 30 to 70 have a jar of coins somewhere. Maybe it's on your dresser, maybe it's in the garage next to your old baseball glove. And hiding in that pile could be the quarter that changes your life. This isn't just collecting. This is treasure hunting, old school style. No crypto, no stocks, no apps. Just you, your eyes, and some good old-fashioned American change. If you've got a 1983 P Washington quarter sitting in a jar, a drawer, or the bottom of your truck's cup holder, it's time to give it a closer look. If you find one in top condition, you could be holding a $1.1 million piece of history. And even if it's not $1 million winner, you might have something worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And hey, maybe it's time to teach the grandkids a little something about coin hunting. Let them help you dig through that loose change. Who knows, you might pass on a valuable lesson and a valuable coin. Now before you go, do me a favor. Hit that like button if you learned something new. Subscribe if you want more hidden treasure stories, coin secrets, and old school money wisdom. Let me know if you've got a 1983 P quarter. Or maybe you accidentally spent one like I did. Misery loves company, right? Hey fellas, welcome back to the BS Coins Wood channel where pocket change can turn into pure gold. Today, we're diving into one little coin that could change your entire life. I'm talking about a Washington quarter from 1998, with a P mint mark, that could be sitting in your sock drawer worth a jaw-dropping $1.2 million. Yeah, that's not a typo. $1.2 million. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's just a quarter, how the heck can that be worth more than my house? Stick with me because by the end of this video, you might just find yourself running to check your spare change jar, your old dresser drawer, or that coffee can in the garage. So go ahead, grab yourself a drink, sit back, and let's talk about how a simple 1998 P quarter could change your life forever. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my dad's old tackle box. He hadn't been fishing in years, and I figured I'd sort it out for him. Inside was a little plastic coin holder with a bunch of quarters. Nothing fancy, right? But I pulled one out, a 1998 quarter, and thought, this looks weird. It had this slightly off-color tone and a funny-looking edge. I didn't think much of it until a buddy of mine who's into coins said, "You should get that checked out." Long story short, it wasn't a $1 million coin, but it was still worth a few $100. That's when I fell down the rabbit hole of coin collecting. Ever since then, I've been on the hunt. And that brings us to today's superstar, the 1998 P Washington quarter that's breaking wallets and blowing minds. Alright, let's get into the nitty-gritty. The 1998 P quarter was minted in Philadelphia. That's what the P stands for. It was the last of the standard Washington quarters before the U.S. Mint launched the 50-state quarters program in 1999. So already, it marks the end of an era. This quarter still features the classic eagle on the back design and George Washington's noble face on the front. In terms of production, the U.S. Mint made over 896 million of these. So yeah, they're not rare in general. But like all great treasures, the $1 million ones are hiding in plain sight. Now, let's talk about what makes one of these bad boys worth $1 million. Spoiler alert, it's not just any 1998 P. It's gotta be one with the right kind of rare error. There are a few known versions with dramatic errors that send collectors into a frenzy. First up, we've got the off-center strike error. That's when the coin wasn't properly centered during the minting process. If a 1998 P quarter is missing part of the design because it was struck off-center, that could boost the value big time. Then there's the double die obverse, which is a fancy way of saying George Washington's face looks like it had a double espresso. His features might appear slightly blurred or doubled, especially around the lettering like Liberty or In God We Trust. And don't forget the clad layer missing error. That's when one of the metal layers didn't make it onto the coin. These coins have a duller, almost coppery appearance and feel slightly lighter. And finally, we've got a few ultra-rare proof error coins that were accidentally struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the coin was minted on the wrong metal blank. Imagine a quarter struck on a nickel or dime planchet. If you've got one of those and it's in good condition, congrats, you're sitting on a fortune. Alright, now I know some of you just pulled out your wallet and started flipping quarters. But hold up. Condition matters. If your coin has been through the washer a few times, has scratches, or looks like it was chewed on by a dog, it's probably not hitting the $1 million mark. What you're looking for is a coin in MS67 or higher condition. MS stands for mint state, and the scale goes from 1 to 70. The higher the number, the closer it is to perfect. MS67 and above is like a coin that never saw the light of day. No fingerprints, no scratches, just pure minty goodness. There are only a handful of 1998 P quarters in MS68 condition with rare errors. That's where the $1 million value kicks in. Let's talk numbers. A standard circulated 1998 P quarter might get you 25 cents, maybe a buck or two if it's shiny. But one rare specimen, a 1998 P double die obverse in MS68 condition, recently sold for over $1.2 million through a private auction. That's not just rumor, that's a fact. And interest in error coins is growing like wildfire, especially with more people getting into coin collecting. Collectors and investors alike are looking for these ultra-rare coins as long-term assets. Think of it like owning a piece of American history that also just happens to be ridiculously valuable. Alright, now here's the part you've been waiting for. How do you actually spot one of these $1 million quarters? Look for that little P on the front, right next to Washington's ponytail. No P, no jackpot. Does it look like George's face is having a double vision moment? Flip it and inspect both sides. Look at the details, the lettering, the eagle's feathers. Are there signs of doubling or unusual color? Use a magnifying glass or a coin loop. The naked eye can only do so much. Some of these rare features are subtle, especially if they're proof errors or planchet issues, and once you've got one that looks promising, take it to a professional for grading. PCGS or NGC, those are the top dogs when it comes to certification. Now if you're thinking, okay, but where do I even start looking? Here's the deal, check your spare change, obviously. But also hit up local flea markets, garage sales, estate sales, and even antique shops. Old coin jars and collections can sometimes hold treasures no one's ever noticed. You can also buy rolls of unsearched quarters online, but be cautious, make sure you're dealing with reputable sellers. Some folks re-roll coins just to make a quick buck. Finding $1 million coin isn't just about luck. It's about knowing what to look for, being patient, and treating every quarter like it might be the one. It's a bit like fishing. You might go out 100 times and catch nothing but weeds. But one day, you hook the monster base. Same with coins. You stay consistent, keep learning, and you'll find gems. So, there you have it, fellas. The 1998 P. Washington quarter, a coin that could literally change your life. It's out there. Someone might have one in their glove compartment right now and not even know it. Could it be you? Next time you get a quarter back in change, don't just toss it in a jar. Take a good hard look. Because if you find the right one, you're not holding 25 cents, you're holding $1 million ticket. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe for more coin hunting adventures, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next rare coin breakdown. And hey, drop a comment if you've got a 1998 P quarter or a wild coin story. I want to hear it. Thanks for watching, keep hunting, and remember, sometimes treasure really is just a quarter away. Hey fellas, let me ask you something. Have you ever bent down to pick up a quarter off the ground, then chuckled to yourself and said, well, that's 25 cents more than I had a second ago? Yeah, me too. But what if I told you that one of those little silver suckers from your pocket change could be worth more than a Ferrari, more than your house, heck, maybe even more than your whole retirement savings? Today we're talking about a 25-cent piece that could fetch you a cool $1.3 million. And no, I'm not pulling your leg. I'm talking about the 2000 P South Carolina quarter dollar. Yep, that state quarter that came out over 20 years ago, the one you probably used in a vending machine without a second thought. Well, grab your readers, dust off your coin jar, and pour yourself a cup of coffee. We're diving deep into how and why this quarter is turning ordinary folks into overnight millionaires. Let me take you back to a few years ago. I was cleaning out my dad's old fishing tackle box, and among the rusty hooks and faded bobbers, I found a handful of change wrapped in an old napkin. Just regular-looking quarters. But one of them caught my eye. It was shinier, cleaner, and had a nice crisp strike. Turned out, it was a 2000 P South Carolina quarter. Now, at the time, I didn't think much of it. I tossed it in a jar and moved on. Months later, I was reading up on rare coins and came across an article that nearly made me spit out my coffee. It said some of these quarters were worth over $1 million. I scrambled to find that jar, tore through it like a madman. I didn't find the rare variety that day, but the lesson stuck with me: never underestimate pocket change. So let's talk history. The 2000 P South Carolina quarter was part of the U.S. Mint's 50-state quarters program. It was the 8th quarter released in the series, and it featured a design with the state outline, the palmetto tree, the Carolina wren, and the yellow jessamine flower. Over 742 million of these quarters were minted in Philadelphia. That's a lot of coins. But here's the thing, not all of them were made equal. Some came out with minting errors. Others were struck on the wrong planchet. And a few had such pristine condition and striking detail that they were practically flawless. Those are the ones collectors are fighting over today. And that's how we get to this crazy $1 million price tag. Some of these quarters have been found with double strikes, off-center strikes, or were struck on experimental planchets, like the wrong metal. Is extremely rare. That means the coin has no visible marks, no blemishes, and basically looks like it just rolled out of the mint's front door. Coins with great luster, sharp details, and strong strikes are more desirable. Think of it like buying a classic car. You want the one that's been garage kept, polished, and pampered. If only a few of these perfect or error-ridden quarters exist, their value skyrockets. One such 2000 P South Carolina quarter with a rare error recently changed hands at auction for $1.3 million. That's right. One single coin. Part of the design is missing, and the image is struck off to one side. Doubling of the image, especially noticeable in the word Liberty or United States. Some coins were mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for a dime or even a foreign coin. A chunk of the coin is missing from the edge, but it was minted that way. If you've got one of these errors in great condition, your quarter might just be worth a fortune. Alright, now you're probably itching to check your coin jar. But before you do, here's what to look for. Look for the P mint mark just under, "In God We Trust," on the front of the coin. Examine both sides for any unusual markings, off-center images, doubled letters, or anything that looks off. Once you've got a potential winner, you might want to send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. The most famous 2000 P South Carolina quarter sold for $1.3 million due to its flawless condition and an extremely rare mint error. It had a double die reverse and was graded at MS-70, essentially perfect. Other examples in slightly lower grades, say MS-65 or MS-66, can still fetch thousands or tens of thousands of dollars depending on the error. Auctions have seen bidding wars break out over these, with collectors from all over the world trying to snag one. The reason? They're rare, beautiful, and part of one of the most beloved coin programs in American history. Let me tell you, there are guys just like you and me who stumbled into these coins by accident. One retired firefighter in Ohio found a 2000 P South Carolina quarter in his old desk drawer. Sent it in to be graded just for fun, thinking maybe it was worth 10 or 20 bucks. Turns out, it had an off-metal error, struck on a foreign coin blank. He walked away with over $50,000. Another gentleman from Texas bought a roll of state quarters at a flea market for $10. One coin was a gem MS-69. Sold it to a private collector for over $120,000. Want to get serious about finding one of these beauties? Grandpa's sock drawer might have a hidden treasure. Buy and check rolls of quarters from the bank. Still a chance to find hidden gems. So next time you pick up a quarter, don't just toss it in the cup holder. Look at it. It might just be your golden ticket. The 2000 P South Carolina quarter dollar has already made folks millionaires, and you could be next. And remember, collecting coins isn't just about the money. It's about the thrill of the hunt, the stories behind the metal, and the satisfaction of finding something everyone else overlooked. So check your change, check your couch cushions, and maybe even check that old coffee can in the garage. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden coin treasures that could change your life. And hey, drop a comment if you think you've got a 2000 P South Carolina quarter or want help identifying one. I read every single one. Thanks for watching, and keep checking that change. You never know what you might find next. Hey fellas, welcome back to the channel, the one spot where your spare change might just be your retirement plan. Today, we're digging into a coin that might be sitting quietly in your collection, your sock drawer, or rolling around the bottom of your glove box. The 1992 D Washington quarter dollar. Now hold up, before you go saying, "It's just a quarter," let me tell you, one of these little fellas is worth a whopping $1.4 million in today's market. Yeah, that's right. $1.25 can't even buy you a cup of coffee anymore, but this quarter? This one could buy you a house, a Corvette, and a Hawaiian vacation with money left for a steak dinner. So sit back, grab that coffee, or a cold beer if it's that kind of day, and let's find out how this humble 1992 D quarter climbed to millionaire status. Alright, let's rewind the clock to 1992. George H.W. Bush was in the White House, Bill Clinton was campaigning hard, and gas was $1 a gallon. A lot has changed since then, but one thing that's still making waves from that year is this Denver minted Washington quarter. Well, not all 1992 D quarters are created equal. Millions were minted. But the one worth $1.4 million? That's a rare variety with a very special twist, the close AM reverse design. Let's break that down without putting anyone to sleep. Back in 1992, the US Mint was working on new reverse designs for pennies, quarters, and other coins. Now the Lincoln cent famously has the close AM variety where the A and M in America on the reverse side are nearly touching. That kind of design variety also found its way, accidentally, onto some 1992 quarters. Specifically, a few Denver minted ones. Instead of the usual gap between the A and the M, this 1992 D quarter has them nearly joined. It's subtle, but collectors with a keen eye go absolutely wild for this stuff. We're talking needle in a haystack kind of rare. And when something is that rare in the coin world, well, the price climbs faster than a squirrel up a bird feeder. Who in their right mind would pay that kind of money for a quarter? Well, let me tell you a little something about coin collectors. These guys don't mess around. If a coin is rare enough, has a unique variety, and especially if it's in pristine condition, it becomes the holy grail. 1992 D quarter with this close AM reverse showed up at auction, graded MS 68, that's mint state 68, almost perfect. No scratches, no dings, not even a coffee stain. That bad boy went for a jaw-dropping $1.4 million. Nobody even knew it existed for years. It just sat, forgotten, until one lucky collector spotted that tiny detail with a magnifying glass. Boom, instant millionaire. Back in 2015, I was cleaning out an old toolbox my grandpa left behind. Tools, old fishing lures, screws that didn't match anything, and right at the bottom, a Ziploc bag full of coins. Mostly junk, right? But being the coin guy I am, I sifted through each one. No 1992 D with a close AM, unfortunately, but I did find a 1965 silver era quarter worth about $300. Not bad for an afternoon with a flashlight and a magnifying glass. That day, I realized how easy it is for valuable coins to hide in plain sight. Grandpa probably used that 1965 quarter to scrape paint off a boat at some point. And it turned out to be worth something. So here's the deal, if an old toolbox had a gem like that, your pocket change or old coin jar just might be hiding something even better. If you're hunting for this $1.4 million quarter, here's what to check: flip the coin and look at the word America on the reverse. On regular quarters, there's a visible gap. On the close AM variety, those letters are almost touching. You're also going to want to look for a sharp strike, clean fields, and no major scratches. The better the condition, the more it's worth. If you think you've got a winner, don't just toss it back in the drawer, get it graded. That's a whole topic, but here's the short version. You'll want to send it to a place like PCGS or NGC. They'll give it a grade on a scale from 1 to 70, and authenticate the variety. If they come back and say it's MS 68 close AM, congratulations, you just joined the Quarter Millionaire Club. Or in this case, the 1.4 Millionaire Club, and even if it's not that high of a grade, these coins are still worth thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, even in lower mint states. Nobody knows exactly how many 1992 D close AM quarters are out there. It could be 5. It could be 15. It could be sitting in your junk drawer right now, just waiting for someone to notice. These things aren't listed in standard price guides because they're just that rare. When one shows up, it sets the coin world buzzing like bees at a barbecue. In today's market, rare variety coins are hotter than ever. With silver and gold prices up and collectors eager to find treasure, coins like this are skyrocketing in value. A few years ago, it was worth a few thousand. Now, $1.4 million, and it could go even higher in the next big auction. If you're just starting out in coin hunting, here's what I tell every guy who asks, even the modern ones. The surprises are often in the newer coins. Invest in a good magnifying glass. Your eyes may have been sharper in the 70s, but even eagle vision can miss these micro details. Store your finds in coin flips or holders. Protect them like they're made of gold. Because some of them basically are. Your everyday pocket change could hold a fortune. The 1992 D Washington quarter, especially with the close AM reverse, is a modern legend. Worth up to $1.4 million, it's the kind of coin that turns casual collectors into serious hunters overnight. So next time you empty your pockets or check under the couch cushions, keep your eyes peeled. You might be one of the lucky few holding a piece of history that's worth more than a luxury car. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your buddies who still carry change, and subscribe if you haven't already. And hey, let me know in the comments, what's the most valuable coin you've ever found?